welcome back to the Heatwave. I'm joined by my co-host Relent and Complexity's very own Triton. Dos is a bit busy today, but he might join us a bit later. But we've got a lot to talk about today. But before we start, remember to like, subscribe. Let's try and reach, let's say, 50 likes. It's a special episode today. Also, send us your questions in the comments so we can answer them next episode. So we're gonna get Triton's opinions on some stuff, some of the recent performances, maybe some roster changes. But first of all, welcome to the show, Tryon. We appreciate you joining us. Obviously, we know you. But for anyone out there who might not, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. My name is James. I go by Triton. I play for Complexity, and so yeah, that's me.
Sweet, sweet. So we'll jump right into it. How are you guys feeling after your performance in the Open last week?
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. We had some close series throughout the entire Thursday tournament, like the continuation tournament. We played Exit in the first round. We think we played them closely, although the series score was 3-1. The first game was extremely close, being up 1-0 for 10 minutes of the game and then losing it. And then I think having something like a 48-42 lead in the second game. So all those games are winnable, and then you go into the losers bracket where we have a close series with the SA Red, and we end up icing that one out, and then going against Fnatic, losing a close game 5 against them. We think we have a lot to build off of, considering those teams are very well practiced and versed. We think that we have a pretty good foundation to go off of.
Yeah, sounds good. Just based off what I watched from your performance in the Open, seems like you guys are like much stronger at Slayer than like objective-based game modes. Sorry. Do you agree, or am I just like way off?
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. This roster is built up with some extremely young, skillful players between myself, Vetra, and Carmea. We're just a lot of young, raw talent. So, with that being said, having a lot of slaying ability on a team is going to just be natural at that point.
For sure. I mean, you guys definitely look strong in Slayer. I mean, even in that Fnatic series, you lost a Slayer. Was it 50-42? So
Yep.
even that's pretty close. But yeah. You want to go, Posey?
Yeah, so kind of explain like how you got started into competing for Halo with Halo, and like kind of what keeps you going, like what makes you want to get on every day grind and kind of go from and with all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started competing by just playing matchmaking. I remember at a young age, watching you and then our cousins and all you guys playing Halo, and just really looking up to that, and wanting to be playing with you guys. But I was too young to understand at that level. So playing matchmaking at a young age, and then when I first graduated high school in 2015, I remember playing matchmaking, and one of my best friends competed in COD and was like, "Dude, you need to get in the community and try and compete. You're like pretty good at matchmaking." And so, yeah, that's kind of how I started leading into Halo 5. I kind of began competing there. And I think I ended up going to 7 or 8 events throughout Halo 5. And then kind of took a break between Halo 5 and the Pro Series and stuff. And then kind of coming back to what's led me into where I am now. That's kind of how it's all came together. And then, the reason why I keep going and why I continue getting on every day is because simply I just want to be the best. Nothing is gonna fuel that fire until I kind of hit where I want to be, and I don't think I'll ever be where I want to be. So I think I'll always have that fire burning because there's always something that I can get better at, and there's always something I could do better. So
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and just for the audience purposes, and so everybody knows, Triton and I are brothers. I'm the older and he's the younger, and he's 3 times better at Halo than I ever was. So, but go ahead, Ed.
Just quickly, how old are you, James? I just wonder.
I am 24. I'll be 25 in September.
Oh, right, okay. I was just wondering because it seems like you've got you got quite a leadership role on this team. So
Yeah,
I was just wondering.
I've tried to assume that role. I've noticed a lack of that, even though we have the veteran in Hysteria. That's kind of not who he is. He's going to show up and bring that knowledge that he has, but we kind of lack that at least in-game leader. So I've kind of trying to assume that role just to kind of fill the gaps and kind of bring what the team needs. So
Yeah, no, I like that. And obviously, you guys picked up Carmea recently. So what do you think what does he bring to the team that you guys didn't have when you were at Anaheim?
Yeah, so he brings nothing but raw aggression and slang ability to the team. And so switching him in for Rob, you have Rob, who's kind of a traditional player who's used to old classic style Halos. He doesn't
Hmm.
really play at the fastest pace. He kind of plays like I've kind of compared him to a poor man's Royal too. He's extremely talented in its own right, but for what this team needed is we needed somebody else playing extremely aggressive with me. And so that's kind of what Carmea brings is just unrelentless aggression, not missing a bullet in your face at all times. And that kind of opens up the map for the rest of the team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we mentioned like last episode, we thought that bringing Carmero on the team gave like quite a good dynamic. It's like you got some younger players in there, then you've got like obviously more experienced players like yourself. But like, has that created any problems for you guys so far?
Yeah, I don't think it's created any problems for us so far. We do have a difference in ideas of how we want to play the game sometimes, but that's kind of what being a
Mm.
team is all about, mixing those styles together to get it the best outcome and kind of bouncing ideas off of each other to see what's best and conforming to what the team needs. So outside of that, I don't think we've had any major issues yet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a big fan of you guys, so you're playing really well at the moment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and kind of staying on that topic, what is you suppose we grew up basically watching Hysteria play, back in the day. So like for you as a fan and now a team, what is that like teaming with Hysteria?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a kind of a surreal experience at first. The guy's just a wealth of knowledge. He has so much history within Halo throughout the years. He has so many stories to tell, and outside of that, just within the game, he brings so much to the table in terms of how he knows high level fours because he's been playing them for so long. I mean, you look at any Halo game or really any game he's ever competed in, he's been a professional player, and that goes all the way from Halo 2 to now. So he kind of brings a lot of knowledge in terms of high level fours and just high level competitive play in general.
Yeah, like I tune into almost 99% of your streams, but just some of the times, like I can really feel like you two have like from the time that you guys started to now, like y'all's connection and overall just team experience with each other is like really grown. Like y'all laugh and joke with each other and like have little inside jokes. So I think that's very good for y'all's team chemistry moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I mean, spending the amount of time that we spend with each other as professional players, it's hard not to build that friendship and that bond. So it's just natural at this point. He's somebody I genuinely consider a close friend, and I enjoy teaming with. So
Nice.
For sure. I mean, I kind of want to ask a question to both of you. Obviously, your brothers, and when you were younger, um, who was better? Was Posey better, or when did that rivalry kind of
absolutely,
start?
they were. I mean, they were always better than me growing up. Because they kind of had a different idea of what they wanted to do. Because in Halo 2, I was like 7, right? And so they were playing, landing beside each other. They were grinding, and I just, I wasn't going to be able to handle that. And then going into Halo 3, they were still wanting to play fours, and I kind of started getting into game battles and playing 1v1s and stuff like that, 2v2s. And so I never gained and developed that knowledge. And then don't let him fool you. Like when him and his best friend Steven, they would want to play me in 1v1, they would still smack me around because like they just were so much smarter than me. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to challenge you every time. So,
Yeah, I mean, and he's not wrong on that. Like we just like our cousin, like we live close knit with our family, and like our cousin had this, he had like a 3 bedroom mobile home set up, and like he only needed one bedroom, one extra, he needed a bedroom for himself, and then the other bedroom he rented out, and then the one middle bedroom he literally made it into a LAN. Like we had 4 tube TVs there, 4 Xboxes. It was the definition of a heater inside of the room. Like that was the hottest room in the house, and we would put in like for us to practice, we kind of did like what C9 does. Like we'd put a cardboard box up and 2v2 each other. And I was at that point in my life, like I'd say I was a little more knowledgeable on the game than James, but he's definitely grown and prospered more than I have. But I think all that kind of helped mold both of us into the player that we are. And like I said, James just has been able to network a little better than I have and kind of push himself further into the Halo career than I ever was. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're both nasty. I'm I'm really not that good at Halo. I know I do the podcast and everything, but that's why I do the podcast because I can't play. I'm really not that good.
But don't let him fool you. He's still got it a little bit. There's people that come from my stream that watch his stream also, and they're like, "Why is your brother not competing?" So
Yeah,
don't
I
let him
mean,
fool you. Like,
you should just enter the open later. Can you
Yeah.
wait? You can't enter anymore, can you?
Nah, I'm taking the weekend off. I had some like
which reminds me,
I had some open, like not open, but I had some stuff around the house I needed to get taken care of. So
I gotta check in real quick. I'm still here
Oh,
and present,
shit.
boys. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
still here and
do you
present.
think?
Do you want to take the next one, Posey?
Yeah. So
I feel like I've kind of asked so much.
no, you're fine. I think people have asked you. I'm sure you get this question a lot in your stream, but like, just for our sake, like, what are your thoughts on this Halo compared to like, Halo 5 was like kind of your entry competitive Halo, like where you kind of start taking it serious. So like, from that Halo or even MCC, I think you took MCC a little bit serious, but that game was hard to take serious. So we'll just leave it at Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, but what are your thoughts on this Halo and like kind of like your opinions on it and like where would you like to see 343 take it in, like in a short term, like 2 to 6 months, and then in a long term, like a year? Kind of like what are your ideas and like your thought process on it?
Yeah, I think the game has a tremendous amount of potential to be the next biggest game out there. And I think it kind of showed that pre-Raleigh and even during Raleigh a little bit. And I mean, even still looking forward towards Anaheim with the lack of content and the lack of updates and the lack of like basically listening to the players and as a whole. Um, you see the viewership still there, so people still want to give it a chance. They really need to get Forge into the game ASAP. I mean, like Forge allows people to make maps for you.
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, it's going to make their job easier. Like these guys are going to work for you and you can just pay them for their work or however it works. I don't know. But basically they need to get Forge in the game. They need to do more content around the game. And they need to really listen to the players and kind of what the players are looking for to get out of the game, because ultimately the players are what's going to keep your game going.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree. Like, I get frustrated with the game, and like, and I know you guys get frustrated with the game, online especially. But
Oh, yeah.
when you guys go to the events, Riley and Anaheim, they've been phenomenal. To watch. Like it kind of brings back a feel for me of like, not quite the same, but how we used to watch the MLG pro circuits back in the day. So like, it's kind of similar to that, and it's a fun Halo to watch. They just definitely need to. I agree with you on everything you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should have dropped Forge when the game dropped. I mean, they delayed the game like so many times. I feel like they should have just developed Forge alongside it. Because that would have solved so many issues by now.
Well, on top of that, Forge just brings in so many different things. Because as of right now, if you look at it, the player base that we have is the competitive player base. You have a small
Mhm.
big team battle player base, and then you have the competitive scene. Forge is going to bring in people that enjoy playing casually, such as fun customs, because you start getting Duck Hunt, you start getting Infection, like all the fun games we remember playing as
Yeah.
kids. Like that's what that's going to allow. But without that right now, there's no real niche for that. So
Yeah, there's like you got the competitive community, and then a small big team battle community, and then outside of that, there's it. Like people have ran through the campaign. They did that when it first came out. So it's like you know it's kind of it's at a standstill. So I hope they do something to fix, which we've talked about in previous episodes. Like I hope they do stuff to fix it.
For sure. Well, since last episode, SSG dropped two of their players. Obviously Flazen and Zion. Ignore my accent. But I just wanted to get your opinion on where you might be able to see them going. Obviously, I know you can't give away too much, but
yeah, I mean, as of right now, the only valid free agents that would make sense for a pickup for them would be Swish, who was recently released from Oxygen, or he left. I'm not necessarily sure the matter on that, but basically Swish is now a free agent, so he's like one of the main ideas that I would have for them. And then outside of that, would be looking into Pistola. I'm not sure what that kind of scenario is looking like or if he's interested, but outside of those two right now, I can't see them. I'm not sure what they're looking for outside of those two players.
yeah,
So unless
yeah,
they go for like a young talent, like somebody like Cycle, or somebody like that, who's or Piggy saying, people like that who had decent performances at Anaheim who are available.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask you quickly: is the Kamea move like? Is that official? Is that what?
Nothing's official with that yet. It's still in trial,
Mm-hmm.
but as of right now, he's the front runner, and we really like playing with him a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, he's completely improved your team. Like you can see just from an outside perspective, you guys are on a different level to what you were in the past month or so. So it's definitely a big improvement. And you also parted ways with your coach Zach. Kind of what happened with that situation, and are you guys looking for like a new coach or?
yeah, so we're actually in the process of trying out new coaches right now. I love Zach. He became a close friend of mine also throughout the entirety of us teaming. He just wasn't exactly what we were looking for as a coach. We want somebody that's kind of got that veteranship. He's going to bring that wealth of knowledge to the team as well and be that fifth voice that can really improve us. And not saying that Zach didn't bring that, but he didn't have the high level fours knowledge that we were necessarily looking for. I wish him nothing but the best. I think he was a phenomenal coach, and I think he was extremely dedicated. But he wasn't. He just wasn't what we needed.
Yeah, I mean, Posey, it sounds like there's a place open for you there.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
maybe you'd fit in well.
I threw my name in the hat. They're just running through the scenarios, and like, yeah, with my schedule and with their schedule, like it's kind of hard to match up. So they need somebody that's kind of on the same schedule as them and same level as them, I guess you'd say. So like,
Yeah.
Staying on the same topic as the roster changes, like, has there been any that's kind of like caught you off guard, like maybe like you wasn't expecting, or like you thought they performed well and they wasn't going to break up, they were going to stick it out?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them actually. Obviously the biggest one being the Optic roster change. It kind of caught me off guard, being that they just placed second. I didn't exactly. I saw Formal getting picked up by a top 6, top 4 team, but I just didn't expect it to be Optic for whatever reason. So that one kind of caught me off guard. And then the Oxygen one, because those guys have stuck it out through thick and thin. Those guys have kind of been there for each other, and they've kind of made it known that they're just going to grind it out their way and they're going to figure it out. So those two mainly caught me off guard.
With the addition of Formal, do you feel like that? How do you feel about that overall team now?
Yeah, I mean, Ola is a phenomenal player. Obviously, if you had a Mount Rushmore of Halo, he's on there. But with that being said, at this point in time in the game, to dethrone Cloud9, you need all the firepower you can have. You need all the slang ability you can get, and then on top of that, you need everyone being objectively efficient and all that. And I just think that's what they were looking for, was a little more slang power to help out Trippy and saying, APG being kind of that support objective role who can pop off at times. Adding in that third gun who's just going to be laying people down is kind of what they needed. So
Yeah, and kind of speaking on that, you kind of brought me into one of my other questions. Is like, your overall opinion on C9, and do you think, like, kind of just go over like what you've experienced and seen, and like kind of think. I mean, is there anybody that can beat them?
yeah, I think as the meta's evolving, I think people are starting to catch up to them. But heading into Anaheim, they're just so far ahead of everyone. Their understanding of the game and just the way they play is just perfect for this Halo. They've proven to be dominant. And so I think moving forward, there is going to be a chance that teams can start beating them. I think they showed kind of their Achilles heel in Anaheim a little bit. So I think, it's going to be a little bit closer. Not saying that they're not going to keep evolving and getting better, because they're freaks and they have Renegade. And if you have Renegade, you're always going to have a chance to be the best. So
Yeah, that's for sure. The dude is something else for sure.
Yeah, just going off of that, you mentioned like their Achilles heel at Anaheim. What was it from that Fnatic team? Because obviously Fnatic took them to a map 5. What do you think it is from that Fnatic team that kind of broke them down a little bit?
yeah, so Fnatic came into that series hot. They came into that series with confidence, and they kind of stood up to the big bad bullies and said, "Look, you're not going to just push us around." And they kind of caught them off guard. I'm assuming they came into that series so hot that they kind of just slapped them right in the mouth and was like, "Okay, like we got to wake up a little bit and play. Like these guys are here, and they can beat us." So I think that's kind of what they showed, is that you just got to go into the series with confidence, have trust in your team, and you know, if you work together well enough, you can put them to the test.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely. Like
Yeah.
you could kind of see after that series, Cloud9 kind of saw what was happening and they definitely picked it up. Um, but just based on your opinion of Fnatic, do you see them as kind of like your biggest rivals in like the AM scene, kind of?
Yeah, I think they're definitely one of them, and reason being is those guys are all my friends. You know, Jazeera is one of my best friends in the Halo community, so having a team that close to us in skill, whether you know we're better or they're better, that's for you guys to decide. But you know, having somebody that you're that close with, being that close with you in skill, it just makes it a rivalry in its own, and it makes it a lot of fun to have matchups against them. And I look forward to having more against them. It's fun.
For sure, for sure. Posey, you want to take another one?
Yeah, so kind of going into the, kind of taking a step back a little bit, you guys at Anaheim didn't have a great performance, I think, and to your standards and what we've talked about in in our private time or whatever. Kind of go over like like if you can like kind of explain what you thought what you think happened and kind of like them like what y'all have done to take the necessary steps to kind of improve to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming into Anaheim, we were feeling extremely confident. Looking at our pool, we were feeling good about it. Going into our first pool match was against G2. We had, you know, 2 out of the 3 games were extremely close. We had a 3-kill Slayer, and then I think it was like a 30-second Strongholds game, something like that. Series was extremely, you know, winnable in our opinion. We could have taken that series, especially how the games played out. We just had to have a little bit more of that clutch factor and being able to close out the games. That's kind of where our fault was in that series. And then the Optics series, we kind of felt the same way. We had that close street Strongholds game where we kind of caught everybody off guard in that game one. They're like, okay, like they're here to play. Couldn't close it out. Um, and then, you know, heading into the bracket, it was kind of the same song. We couldn't close out games. We had multiple opportunities to win multiple games against every team we played. And we just couldn't really close those out. And that was due to a lack of coordination and teamwork when it mattered most. You know, we kind of resulted back into our bad habits. And then with that being said, we felt like we weren't playing at the pace of these other teams and we needed to kind of play a little bit faster. And that's kind of led us into where we are today. So that's kind of what we looked for moving forward, was 1, developing a faster play style, and 2, having somebody that's going to be calling the shots in game, kind of an in-game leader. And that's kind of the role that I've tried to assume.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no.
go
You
ahead.
can take one. You can take one.
I was just gonna say, kind of moving on from that, like, you and Rob are really close, and y'all, you guys have a really good friendship. How is it moving on from him? Even he stepped down. How was that like for you? Like, how does that make you guys feel? Is like him stepping down, even though knowing that, like me personally, I think he performed very well for y'all. Like I know, like you said earlier on, his playstyle wasn't as fast as you guys would like. But just overall, like his knowledge of the game, how long he's been around it, and his skill of the game, like how was like personally and and as a team, like how does that affect you any, or how does that make you feel with him stepping away?
Yeah, obviously it makes me sad. He's probably my best friend within the Halo community. We've been through a lot together. We've teamed for multiple years now, so it's one of those things where I of course miss him. You know, the man gave me all he had at all times while still working a full-time job and maintaining a house and a wife. So I can do nothing but applaud him for that. But, you know, moving forward, he kind of realized that he wasn't going to be able to put in the time to adjust his play style to what the team needed. And so that's kind of why his decision was made. And so you know, it ultimately worked out for us. Unfortunately, it's like, at what cost did it work out for us? But it was just something that needed to happen,
Yeah,
whether it be him changing his play style or us finding somebody that fits that role.
yeah, for sure. And much respect to Rob for having the maturity to stand up and be like, look, I'm very talented at this game, but at the same time, I I have a full career and a wife, and like just you know being a professional Halo player is not where I see my future going. So that was, my respect and condolences go to him on
Yeah, I
that
mean,
one.
it was ultimately wearing him down, and I take partial blame for that because of the expectations I have for my team. He was trying to do everything he could to meet those expectations at whatever cost, and he was killing himself in the process. He was leaving himself extremely tired. He was getting off of work immediately, getting onto the game, leaving no time for himself, and it wasn't healthy for him as a person. And I'm glad that he's happy now.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you mentioned you got high expectations. Like, what do you expect for your team now? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, I mean, I expect us to compete at the highest level. I think we can compete with anybody. I think we have the roster that can compete with anybody, the skill. And so I don't settle for anything short of that. I'm not happy with placing top 16, top 12, top 8. I'm not complacent there. I want to win. I want to be the best. And, again, like I said earlier, I won't be happy until we're there. And even then, I probably won't be happy.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, we've mentioned before that we think you guys are like a live wire. Sometimes you can just catch on fire, and then from there, like you just keep going. So obviously, you're playing today. If you had to, actually, I was gonna say if you had to give a prediction, but I feel like that'd be a curse on you. But like, how are you feeling going into today?
Yeah, I'm feeling extremely confident. Scrims have been going well. We've constantly been improving on our mistakes. So, it's always a good feeling knowing that you're putting in the time to get better. We're reviewing film a lot, so we're taking the steps in the right direction to continuously get better. So that puts confidence within me that, we're going to continue getting better and placing better.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's anyone's game right now. I feel like um, the scene in general is pretty even. I feel like any team can kind of become number one. So, well, apart
Yeah,
from Cloud9.
absolutely.
Do
Rosie, you want to
Yeah,
go?
yeah. I kind of wanted to touch on your expectations and everything, and where do you say you kind of gained that from your younger days of watching like your favorite team growing up was the Patriots, like watching the Bill Belichick and that Tom Brady area. Do you think like you kind of watch that and trying to mold that into yourself as like expecting them to be greatness even at your level that you guys are playing at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of instilled a winning attitude within me, and like winning is the expectation, and we won't settle for anything less. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, and think that that had a major part in how I envision my life and my team now.
Yeah. Um, Yeah. So obviously, like, kind of going back to kind of the state of the game, like, everybody's really complaining about the mangler. Is there, like, do you feel the same way? Is it a mutual thing, or do you like, are you just like, hey, it's part of the game. Let's all adapt to it and kind of get better, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, at this current time, it's extremely broken. There's no other weapon that I can pick up in this game and just absolutely going on a frenzy or a riot with the weapon because I can throw it out of my hands at any time. Um, you know, the biggest ways they could change it is obviously just take it out. But if they take it out, they're going to have to nerf other weapons in terms of shotguns, swords, stuff like that. They're going to have to make it a little more balanced in that manner. Or, I think even making it a red weapon and lowering the ammo would help it out a lot. I mean, you have weapons like the Needler who are weapons that you can only have one on the map at a time. But for some reason, we could stack 3 to 4 manglers at any given moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
Are you
agree.
GA in the mangler for this series?
yeah, I mean, at any given moment, we are. It's such a risk when you play against. It's a risk that you have to take when you play against better teams. Because it's
Hmm.
like, oh, I don't want them picking up a mangler in a 49-49 game 5 situation, but that's a risk I guess we have to take.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it reduces the skill gap so much. I feel like teams that are not as developed as you can kind of, if they get enough manglers, they can take the game almost.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of why people say the sandbox as a whole needs to be nerfed because every weapon that you can pick up on the map is better than the battle rifle. And the
Mhm.
difference between that and land is the battle rifle is a lot better on land. The shots register a lot more, stuff like that. And so it's a little bit different and plays out a little bit different on land. But in terms of online Halo right now, any weapon that you can pick up on the map is going to be better than the battle rifle. So that's an obvious issue in its own right.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Kobe's in my stream, and he wanted me to ask, what's your favorite team to currently play or scrim against? Like,
Favorite team to currently play or scrim against. I really enjoy playing against G2 whenever we play them in tournaments or scrim them. It's always a lot of fun. Um, Gilky's another one of those people that's one of my best friends within the community. So it's always fun talking some smack to him and playing against this team. I always enjoy playing against Fnatic, of course. Um, I always really enjoy playing against the boys on Oxygen. It's always a really good series whenever we play them. I think we match up extremely well with them. And then the last team that I really like playing against a lot would probably be Space Station. It's a lot of fun playing against that team and kind of seeing how we stack up to them, because a lot of people don't put us close to them, but we're a little bit closer than people think. So it's always fun kind of playing them and seeing how we match up.
yeah, I agree. I think you guys. I think when y'all are clicking on all four cylinders and playing at y'all's best, each and every one of you guys, I think y'all are up there with with most of those teams in the top, outside of maybe C9 and the top three teams that are bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since last episode, the optic skin was released. It looks fire. It's one of my favorites for sure. But do you think there might be a complexity skin releasing soon?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's obviously the end goal is, helping Complexity become a partner team. So, with that being said, I would love to have my own in-game skin. Tashi, if you're listening, make it happen.
Yeah, and just based off of that, do you feel any pressure like representing the complexity, or because obviously they're well established?
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be pressure. They're a prestigious org. They have a lot of championships under their belt, and they've had a lot of prestigious teams. Even you can even go on as saying they've had dynasty teams, and so stretching off of that, the expectations are high, and so there's definitely a little bit of pressure there to perform. Not that it ever affects us, but we know it's there. We know that we're representing a tier one organization, and they're one of the best in the business. So we need to make them proud.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've known about complexity since I don't know how old, but obviously I'm pretty young, so that's not that long compared to you guys. But yeah, I mean, the fact that complexity are involved in Halo is crazy to me because I've been a fan of them for a while.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're probably one of the oldest orgs that are around. Probably they're definitely up there with Optic. Looking
Yeah.
back to their teams that competed in Call of Duty, I think they stretch back to Modern Warfare 2. So that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a very long time. If you can you kind of go over like your experience like from the beginning of this game, and like what you like kind of like what you were going through to kind of get to the point to where you guys landed being on and getting signed and picked up by Complexity?
Yeah, so we came into this game with a completely different roster than we have now. The first roster we had was myself, Rob, Musa, and Winter. We performed extremely well in the qualifier. The first one, I believe we got top 12, and we were one of three teams that weren't technically signed yet, although Oxygen placed top 12 and they were signed, but they just weren't announced. So we were one of two teams in the top 12 that weren't signed. So immediately following that, and looking at the hype around the game, orgs started kind of coming in, and they kind of started reaching out to us saying, hey, like, we want to get involved. We recognize you guys as one of the top teams. And ultimately, Complexity is the one that we closed the deal out with, and who, we were happy to call our home. And it's been nothing but a pleasure ever since. They take extremely good care of us, and we couldn't ask for anything better.
As a longtime Patriot fan, like I said earlier, do you feel like you had to force your change of team, given that Jerry Jones owns Complexity? Like, do you got to represent the star team now, or?
Yeah, absolutely not. That was one of the things I said with our general manager Nick. I was like, if being a Cowboys fan is a requirement, then I guess you can count me out, kind of as a joke, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I refuse to change that to a Cowboys fan. I will support them, but I don't want to call myself a fan.
There you go. And this probably be like one of my last ones, but kind of, me having a little background of you, you spoke of Nick, your general manager. He had a very prestigious career as far as him coaching with the Gears team that he had. Like, how does that how does that feel knowing that you have that as a support system for you guys, and like what he brings to the table? Like, how does that help you guys as a team and moving forward and stuff?
Yeah, Nick's phenomenal. For those of you that don't know, Nick was a part of the Optic slash Tox slash whatever. He was a part of that dynasty with Explosive, Mental, all those guys who just ran train on the Gears scene for, I think they have 22 championships. They're the final boss of Gears of War. Mental is the Ogre 2 of Gears of War. He was a part of that. He was a part of that for the entire ride. So him bringing in that experience, and he's always with us at events, and he's always talking to us weekly, daily, stuff like that. Having that experience and that knowledge coming in, and him talking to us about some things that he can relate to us about, really helps us out a lot. We've even allowed him to sit in on film sessions and stuff like that, where he's proven to be extremely useful just because of the way he looks at things and the way he picks our brains and really gets us thinking. He has a championship mindset. I'd love to just snatch him out of his role and make him our coach, but obviously that's not possible. So
Yeah,
I just got a quick one. Just like after Anaheim, were you coming from that tournament looking to make roster changes, or was it kind of obviously the Rob situation? Was that kind of out of the blue?
yeah, we weren't coming out of the event looking to make roster changes. We really still had faith in our team. We just think we had a bad event, and we just thought we needed to tweak these things to get better. And as a four, we kind of believed that we could still make it happen. But it was kind of Rob who did some self reflecting and kind of told us at the event, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to make these changes in my play style. It's going to take a lot more work than I'm already giving, and I don't know if I can do that to myself. It's really going to break me as a person. And so, with that being said, he recognized it within himself that he wasn't going to have the time to put in to make himself the player that we needed. And so that's what ultimately swayed his decision.
Yeah, I mean, all respect to Rob. He's a good guy for doing that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a big supporter of me, and he wouldn't do anything that he would deem as holding me back. And so he thought he was doing what was right in that situation. So
yeah, I mean, he just seems like a good guy in general. Obviously, we haven't had the chance to talk to him. Hopefully, we will soon, maybe. But yeah, have you got any more questions, Posey?
Yeah, Kobe wanted me to ask. What are your team's expectations for the for the KC event?
yeah, I think our expectations for KC is going to be first breaking in that top 8 and then chipping away from there. We've failed to break in the top 8 at both events so far, and so that's kind of our expectation right now. Is like let's make it to championship Sunday, and then we'll go from there.
I think that's a pretty logical expectation. I think on it, like I said, we've had many talks. Like, I think you guys are more than capable of doing it. So to kind of wrap this up, because I know you need to get online and kind of get your thumbs warmed up. Is there any closing comments, shout outs, or anything that you'd like to put out there, or let anybody know, moving forward with yourself and your team?
Nah, I mean, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on today. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys and answering your guys' questions. Thanks everybody for supporting me who has so far, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think I can speak for the three of us. Even our other co-host couldn't make it today, but we greatly appreciate you joining in. And you're the first of many, and we definitely appreciate you joining. And me and myself, I wish you the best, and I always support you when what you're doing.
Absolutely, of course. I'm glad I could be that kind of pillar and hopefully help you guys lay that path to getting nothing more than more prestigious guests than me. Hopefully we can bridge that gap.
I mean, I see you as pretty prestigious. So yeah, good luck in the open layer, and yeah, I mean, hopefully you can show us some of the stuff you've been talking about today. So yeah, definitely good luck, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, but anybody that's watching or going to be watching, make sure you go check out his stream, twitch.tv at Triton /TritonJB. He streams pretty consistently. Most of the time he streams his scrims and all the tournaments. So go give him a check, go follow, and if you have a free prime, throw that out there.
I will be streaming today. I'll probably start the stream up in the next 30 minutes. So if you guys want to follow Complexity at all, I'm usually one of the only people that stream from our team. So if you guys want to follow us at all, yeah, you can check us out there. Check us out on all the socials and stuff like that. So I'll be live in probably like 30 or 40 minutes. I got to get some breakfast and stuff still. But yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your podcast, good rest of your days. And I'll catch up with you guys soon, okay?
All right.
Cheers, good luck.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Well, so thanks for everybody for tuning in. I think that's going to wrap it up for us today on this episode. Like Ed said in the beginning, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It tremendously helps our channel. Leave a comment with anything that we can improve on, and we look forward to seeing you guys.
Definitely get active in the comments. I mean, we're happy to answer questions in the next episode. Let us know what we could be doing better. We're slowly working towards getting this out on different platforms. I'm looking into that now. So hopefully within the next few podcasts, we might be able to get that going. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.